Good morning, televiewers. It's a pleasure being with you for another edition of your favorite program, The Woman. Today we'll be talking about female Peace Corps volunteers. Who is a female Peace Corps volunteer? What are their activities? And more. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. On to today's edition, we have as guest a female Peace Corps volunteer, Joyce, who is an American female Peace Corps volunteer in Akonolinga. Good morning, Joyce. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
If I may ask, who is a Peace Corps volunteer?
Well, Peace Corps volunteers travel all over the world, essentially volunteering their services. We work closely with communities in other countries to share our expertise, to share American culture, and also to learn about the culture of the host country that we're in. So in my case, learning about Cameroonian culture and sharing that with other Americans. What
does it take to become a female Peace Corps volunteer? Is there any academic profile?
Well, you have to be really flexible. It helps to be able to learn quickly and adapt. It helps to like people and be able to get along with lots of different kinds of people. It helps to have a basic education. By basic, I mean a college degree. So it's actually kind of a competitive process. During the time when I applied, only 1 out of every 4 applicants was actually accepted into the program.
Yeah, which means the competition is high.
It is. Okay. It is. So they can afford to be choosy. Enough people really want to do this.
Why did you decide to become a Peace Corps volunteer?
Oh, I'd always wanted to do this. 2 reasons, really. One, personal. I enjoy traveling and living in other countries and meeting new people from other places. So the idea of doing this and being able to help other people was a really good thing. I've worked for NGOs, or non-governmental organizations, in the United States. That's my background, and to be able to do that here in Cameroon has really been a great opportunity for me.
Is Cameroon the first country you're volunteering?
Yes.
Okay.
I have traveled to other countries before, but this is the first country I have come to as a Peace Corps volunteer.
Okay. So what are some of the benefits of a Peace Corps volunteer?
The benefits to me or to the community?
That's the benefits to you coming to Africa.
Oh.
When it comes to maybe your professional background or...
Sure. Well, certainly it's counted by the United States government as though you're working for the government. So when I go back to my country, it will actually help me find a job with the United States government if that's what I were inclined to do. And frankly, that is what I'm inclined to do. I hope this is only the beginning of a much longer adventure and not the end of one.
Okay. For how long have you been a volunteer?
I have been in Cameroon for 2 years.
Yeah. So how do you find the people?
The people have been really, really friendly and very welcoming. I love that the country motto is Nous sommes ensemble, you know, we are together. And everyone, almost everyone that I've met has really lived up to that. I really appreciate the interconnectedness between people, between families, between community members, the way people are quick to help each other out, you know, even if it means, you know, hurting themselves a little bit in the process. I think that's really wonderful. And that's certainly something that we as Americans can learn from, because we tend to be much more individualistic as a people. And that's definitely something, this Nous sommes ensemble mentality, that I plan to take back to the States with me.
Okay. When we hear volunteer, we think of charity work. Do you earn a salary for the work you do, or you work for free?
All Peace Corps volunteers are paid what is considered a modest salary by American standards, but actually it enables us to live at a pretty good level of life here. We're paid like small functionaries.
So what were the reactions of family and friends when you told them you were coming to Africa?
Most of them were pretty upset. Ironically, I thought that my mother would be the most upset, but she was absolutely the most supportive from the beginning. She was behind me and said, "You go, girl. I know this is what you've been wanting to do for many years, and I know you will do a good job with it." And she actually helped convince my daughter and my ex-husband and my other friends, you know, and family members that this was a good thing and I should be allowed to do it and be supported in my efforts.
Did you convince your daughter that coming to Africa was best for you?
Well, my daughter, who's now 21, her initial reaction was, "Wow, cool, can I come visit you?" And then she talked to my ex-husband, who said, no, this is a very, very bad thing that mommy is leaving. No, you are thinking the wrong way about these things. So then she said, mommy won't be around to answer all your questions when you want to complain about people who are mean to you at work or at school. She's not going to be right there. You'll have to call long distance or send an email. And my daughter thought about that. She's like, oh, that's true. Yeah, I hadn't considered that. So then she came back. She's like, are you sure you want to do this Peace Corps thing, Mom? It was pretty funny. Okay. But in the end, everyone was fine with it. And actually, I email my daughter very frequently.
Okay. So when you came to Cameroon, immediately you arrived Cameroon. Mm-hmm. What was the feeling that you had?
Wow, I'm in Africa! It was pretty exciting. Okay. It was pretty exciting.
Okay. So immediately you got to Cameroon. You came to the rural area, right?
We went to Bafia, actually. Okay. We had 3 months of training.
Yes. And where did your training process took you to?
Let's see. Well, we were in Bafia for the first 3 months of our service, living with a host Cameroonian family. Mm-hmm. And I was so lucky. I had the best family ever. Yes, the Semis. And it was a retired couple and their 8-year-old grandson, and they did such a good job of teaching me everything that I needed to know to be successful as a Peace Corps volunteer. Really, to be successful just living daily life, like how to cook in Cameroon. It's a little bit different cooking here than it is back in the States. How to wash my clothes. I will never forget this little 8-year-old boy telling me, no, you're not scrubbing hard enough. Do it like this. So, yeah, that was a big help.
Okay. So when you arrived at Konolinga, how did the population receive you?
Very, very graciously, very welcoming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I work with a local NGO called CEMID, Service d'appui aux initiatives du microfinance et du développement, that does a lot of work in microfinance and also health initiatives. And I've been so lucky because the people I work with there are so professional and so very capable. So it's been a really good experience, and they were so welcoming. Honestly, the first day I arrived, my house had just been built, and when I opened the door, there was all this construction debris everywhere. There were piles of dust. There were empty sachets lying around. I mean, I was almost ready to cry because I didn't even own a broom or a bucket or anything to clean with. But the 2 women that I work with, just dropped everything, like ran home, got brooms and buckets and mops and everything that we need. They cleaned my house for me. I mean, who does that? Well, Cameroonians do that.
So how do you identify the needs of the local population before coming to them?
Actually, Peace Corps would do that. I mean, I don't have any contact with the local population, but once I get here, I ask. Okay. One of the first things that I do when I arrive in the community is kind of a baseline study of the community, where I talk to the people I work with, I talk to the people I know, and ask them, so what do you like about living in a Konolinga? What seems to be missing? So, for example, fresh poultry was something that seemed to be missing. Okay. So now I'm working with an orphanage to raise fresh poultry.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the activities that you undertake with the local communities?
Let me see. Well, most recently it's been working with the orphanage to raise poultry. Okay. Prior to that, last year I was very busy with my host organization, CEMID. We were setting up village savings and loan associations, or AVEX, primarily on Bruce, where we work with groups of women. Usually the groups are 70% women. There's maybe 20 to 30 women per group, and they save their money together and they give each other loans from the savings. And I am such a big fan of AVEX. I had never heard of them before I came to Cameroon, okay. But now I'm ready to go home and set up AVEX, their village savings and loan associations, with my friends and family back in the States. Okay. Because it's such a good way to help women save money and become economically independent.
Oh. Out of work, how do you distract yourself? What are some of the things that you do?
Oh my gosh, well, there is some downtime, I'll admit. I like going for walks around the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I also like cooking. It's kind of a hobby. Mm-hmm. I read a lot. Mm-hmm. I write lots of letters and emails back to my friends and family in the States. Mm-hmm. And that's actually, part of my job as a Peace Corps volunteer is to share my experience of Cameroonian culture with the people back home.
You just said about cooking and reading. What are some of the dishes that you cook? Do you cook American dishes or African dishes?
Well, mostly American dishes, because all the Cameroonians I've met make the Cameroonian dishes so much better than I make them.
But you would have decided to learn too.
I've learned a few, yes. Mm-hmm. I confess fried plantains. Yeah. I love them.
Okay, you talked of books. have you in any way been opportune to read some African novels or Cameroonian novels?
All different kinds. My favorite author is James Clavell. He writes a lot of books about people who travel a lot and live abroad.
Mm-hmm. So you never read any Cameroonian?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Cameroon, far from home. I think you have this nostalgia feeling. How do you overcome the nostalgia feeling?
I write. I write a lot of emails to friends and family. I talk about my experiences here, certainly the frustrations, but also the successes, and that helps a lot.
Yeah. So, as a female Peace Corps, what are some of the challenges that you faced your first days in the local community?
As a female volunteer, I was never given so much aggressive attention from men back in the States as I have received coming here to Cameroon. And at first I thought it was a Blanche thing, and it is a little bit, but also Cameroonian women are also deranged quite a bit by men who don't really understand how to take no for an answer. So that's certainly been an ongoing challenge.
So when it came to social integration, do you easily integrate yourself into the society when it comes to cultural barriers and language, the social life of the people?
In all areas except the bar culture. I've never seemed to really master that. But yes, in general, I feel like I've been able to integrate very well with my community.
So you feel home?
I feel very much at home here, yeah.
If ever you were to return home, what memories will you keep of Cameroon?
Certainly the people that I've worked with. The women who live in the bush, who spend their mornings farming and their afternoons taking care of the kids and preparing the meals and looking after their homes. I have nothing but the most profound respect for these women. Life is hard. Life is hard, and honestly, I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to work with them and to learn.
What can you say about the issue of gender disparity in Cameroon?
Well, it's tough being a woman in Cameroon. As I like to tell, the VLSA groups that I work with, I say, it's because the men complain, that they say, well, why don't you have more groups just for men? Or for men, why is it so important to have 70% women? And I say, because it's much harder to be a woman in Cameroon than it is to be a man in Cameroon. Okay? So for instance, everyone here in the room, in the morning, what do? You go and work in the fields, yes? And everyone says, yes, that's right. Okay, in the afternoon, ladies, what do? You go home, you cook the meal, you take care of your children, you clean the house. Okay, men, what do? You go to the bar. You brew some palm wine. You visit your friends, you hang out. Yeah. Okay, you tell me who deserves, an extra step up.
Yeah. So in the US, is it different? Is the situation different?
It is, and I'm so glad you asked that, because I think life in Cameroon, at least as far as the disparity between men and women, is probably not that different from the way it was in the United States about 50 years ago. So in just 50 years, really, we in the United States have made great strides, and there's much more parity between the sexes. Yeah. There really is. It's not perfect. We still have a long way to go, but I think Cameroon can make it too. Yeah.
So what do you think should be done so that this disparity will not be felt?
Okay, first a message to all the young girls out there: stay in school. That will help.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest one. Certainly making educational opportunities available to women and young girls, and giving women a chance.
Yeah, because some when we talk of, for example, the International Women's Day, when they are carrying out activities, the men say, or statistics show that opportunities are being given to women, yes, but women are not courageous enough to grab those opportunities. But so what do you think? So what do you think women can do to be at the forefront of so many social, political, and socio-economic activities in the country?
Be brave, my sisters, and don't be afraid to fail. Just try it, whatever it is. If you want to start small business, if you want to run for political office, no matter what it is, try it. And even if you do not succeed, you will learn from your experience, and then you can try again the next time, and you will remember what happened before, and you will change it. And keep trying and keep trying. Just persevere. This is the most important thing.
Catherine Calaris, a former Peace Corps in Burkina Faso, who is now working with the Clinton Foundation in Cameroon, will be telling us about her experience when she was a Peace Corps. Let's watch.
My name is Catherine Calaris, and I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Burkina Faso from 2007 to 2009. I was a health sector volunteer and worked mostly in child nutrition, vaccinations, and health education. I lived in a rural village and became very close with my community. They were very protective of me, which definitely helped me through some of the challenges. As it is working in a different country, there were definitely some professional challenges in terms of learning a different pace of work and being I was very young at the time, a young woman. People respecting me and taking me seriously. Though I found my community very open and accepting, and they ended up being great people to work with, even though there were definitely challenges along the way.
Yeah. Can you please tell us some of the challenges that you face?
Right. So one challenge with just a different pace and style of working, sometimes I would try and set up a meeting or set up an event, and people wouldn't show up, or they would show up very late, or they would show up the next day, and so that was definitely a work frustration. Also, being a young woman, I did have some issues with strangers on the streets, but I tried to trying to be with people who I knew and not put myself in kind of any potentially dangerous situations.
Thank you. You're welcome back. So Joyce, what do you think about Catherine's experience when she was a Peace Corps at Burkina Faso? We just listened to her there talking about her experience.
I would think that, I would say that her experience is probably very typical of that of most Peace Corps volunteers. I actually had some sort of unfair advantages in that I'm older, so it was easier to get the respect of my community more quickly. And also I spoke French when I first arrived, so I didn't have the language challenges that she experienced. But I'm really impressed that she was able to go from 0 to 60 so quickly.
Okay. Recently, the Peace Corps had to organize a National Girls Forum in Limbe, where young girls from all the 10 regions of Cameroon came together to discuss common issues and to propose solutions. Let's watch the Girls Forum that took place in Limbe.
Nous avons les jeunes filles qui vendent de la bouillie, plus précisément les beignets, beaucoup de choses. Ils font aussi l'agriculture. Peut-être chez nous, les boros, on fait l'élevage.
We tend to follow young boys around the quartier, as we normally call it, and early pregnancies result. Then there's also poverty, there's lack of ambition, because an uneducated mind will not know where to direct her mind onto. So she's just broad, she has this wide scope, she doesn't know what to do. And then there's series of illnesses. Illnesses like cough, because don't protect your skin, there's a lot of cold. Illnesses like cholera, because you have to drink dirty water. Sometimes, I don't know how to call it, epidemic diseases, and this disease I'll get.
like to get out regional capitals and come to enjoy the beauty of the coast. You know, Limbe is a beautiful area. It doesn't really have much to do with the Francophone-Anglophone balance, because actually I think 70% of our participants here are Francophone anyways. So it's just why we picked Limbe.
Yes. So
Peace Corps' program with the youth in development has put an emphasis on young girls, basically to call attention to the status of young girls in Cameroon. You saw some of the presentations this morning that were made. You can see where there's a great disparity between how boys are treated and how girls are treated, and how they end up in society. You know, girls definitely do not have the advantages that boys have. And there's a lot of basic things, there's a lot of problems associated with that, of course. You know, there's poverty, there's health issues like HIV/AIDS, and things that we must really address. And our youth and development program is very active in getting out and working through schools, through clubs, through local organizations, you know, to try to help some of these girls. And the girls that you see here are a good example of, I think, some of the girls who are potential leaders in their community. They've been selected because, you know, they have certain skills, and you know, leadership is one of the most important ones, so that they can take these messages back to their communities and their schoolmates, and you know, spread the word.
So,
you know, solving the problems, I mean, these are problems that date back a long, long time. They're very, very large problems, and fixing large problems, you know, can take a lot of time. But it starts with education, and as we all know, education is a long process in itself. Just keeping girls in school until they can graduate and possibly have the opportunity to go on and further their education at university, you know, how long does that take? You know, if a girl is 15 now, that might take the next 10 years. So Peace Corps is working, you know, very hard with these girls on primarily educating them. You know, what are good skills to, you know, to develop, you know, to get you through life, basically. And staying in school is of course one of the most important things. So.
Je m'appelle Jamila Ousmane. J'ai assisté à un séminaire de 3 jours. Ce séminaire bénéfique pour les filles musulmanes, spécialement pour toutes les filles de tous les groupes ethniques du Cameroun. C'est tellement bénéfique car on partage les problèmes rencontrés, on propose aussi des solutions pour les filles. J'espère bien que désormais toutes les filles musulmanes, chrétiennes, Bororobaya, Pygmées auront maintenant un point de vue sur la nature ou bien sur le monde. Bon, je vais prendre, d'après ce qu'on m'a appris ici, là, je vais apprendre à ma communauté. Je vais commencer par les sensibiliser, essayer de former aussi un forum de partage entre nous, les jeunes filles Bororo de l'Est. Okay, my name is Jamila Ousmane. I'm from the East region. I came here to Limbe to have some education about the sensibilization of a girl, about the girl education. I wish that, or I hope now, if those many girls see me in the television, I hope that they'll take my example to help Cameroon to be a good emerging nation.
Thank you. My name is Salah Kimberly. I'm from Fundo. We came here for the National Youth, the Girls Forum, right? And from the exercise we've carried out up to this point, we were able to identify the barriers that girls encounter in order to achieve the various dreams and use the God-given skills that girls all have. So right now, I don't know what is still in store for us. I know that there's going to be more, but I'm just hoping that I get to learn a lot, which I can use to share with my friends. Okay, we carried out an exercise, and from that exercise, I've realized that girls are the solution to the problem that girls have. And so, right now, I can't say that I've learned a lot because it's just the beginning of the exercise, and there's still more to learn. So, I can't say what I'm going to take back home to my friends, but from the exercise that we did, girls surely have a solution to the problems that girls have.
That was the National Girls Forum organized by the Peace Corps to find possible solutions to some of the problems that young girls in the rural areas face, like early marriages. So, Joyce, what do you have to say about the National Girls Forum that took place in Limbe, the initiative put in place by the Peace Corps to better the lives of young girls in the rural area?
I think it's a great idea, and I'm glad that something like that exists if it didn't before. I think it's important to get girls when they're very young, the youngest possible, because honestly that is when they're most impressionable, and you can really do a lot of work giving them ideas that will last for the rest of their lives. So I think it's a wonderful program, and I would encourage all young girls to try to participate next year if they can.
Next on the program is the segment Focus, and Focus this week is on the country, is on the Peace Corps Country Director to Cameroon. He'll be telling us what it takes to be a country director and how he manages his staff. Don't go away. Good morning. Focus on our program today will be on the director of the Peace Corps in Cameroon. Good morning, Mr. Oleg.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
You are the resident representative of the Cameroon Peace Corps. Who is a resident representative, and what does it take to be a resident representative of a Peace Corps?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm very new here at this post. This is my first assignment as the country director of Peace Corps in any country. I have worked as a staff member in several other countries in Africa for the Peace Corps during my career. I spent 15 years in 5 other African countries, and I also was a volunteer myself, beginning back in 1975, when actually that's the first time I came to Cameroon, was to be trained as a volunteer. I spent 2 months here in training in the Northwest Province in fish farming, and then I was sent to the Congo, DRC, for my volunteer service.
So what are the duties of a country director?
The main duty of the country director is to oversee the program, all aspects of the management of the program, which means, you know, being sure that the program is well managed. We're getting our goals accomplished on the ground in primarily four program areas, which include public health, education, youth development, and agriculture. Mm-hmm.
So, what are some of the difficulties you faced so far, though it is your first post and you've not been in the post for so long?
Well, you know, some of the difficulties are just getting to work, trying to maneuver around the taxis in town. You know, simple things like that. I mean, you know, this is what, my 20th year in Africa, and every country has its own little, you know, things that you have to look out for. I guess probably the thing that concerns us most in Cameroon today is the security situation on the borders. That's probably our number one concern. Mm-hmm.
Okay, when it comes to managing the female Peace Corps, do you think it will be an easy task for you?
Well, you know, we have very you know, I'm the country director, but I have a very competent staff to work with. We have Cameroonian program managers and program assistants who have worked for Peace Corps and other organizations for many, many years. And, you know, they're very, very talented. You know, some of them are female, some are male, of course. We also have, you know, a medical officer who's an American, female. And, you know, so, the gender issue for us, as Americans, I think, male, female, you know, we get along quite well. Our cultural differences might be different from your cultural differences between, you know, between the genders.
Okay. So recently you organized a girls' forum in Limbe.
Mm-hmm.
Is it part of the activity of the Peace Corps?
Yes, the Girls Forum, this was our third Girls Forum. Every year we pull it together. It is funded by the PEPFAR program, so its support comes from, you know, the PEPFAR program, which is the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. So the theme is basically to, you know, ensure that, you know, these young people do not get infected with AIDS, and we get the message out that, you know, AIDS is bad and, you know, there are ways to prevent it. So the Girls Forum has been very successful. We also look, you know, we look at a lot of different things, ways of working with girls, trying to give them, you know, good advice on staying in school, you know, making good career choices, I think is kind of, you know, our emphasis there.
Yeah. So what will be the Peace Corps participation in solving some of the problems faced by the girls of the rural area?
Well, you know, that depends on rural areas. You know, a lot of them are in rural areas, a lot of them are in smaller towns and some cities. So we have, you know, volunteers working in different areas. As you know, Cameroon is a very diverse place, and, you know, some of the issues in the north, say with, you know, which is, you know, strongly influenced by Islamic, you know, religion, their problems and issues are going to be very different, you know, from those in the south. So, you know, it's very different, and we basically get in there. Our volunteers will start by doing an assessment of the needs of the community. And by doing that, they understand what the problems the girls are facing, and then they work to, you know, build a program around that.
Okay. Mr. Country Director, thanks for accepting to participate in the program.
Well, thank you very much. It's been very interesting.
Okay, so we just saw the interview of Mr. Mark Oli, who is the Peace Corps country director in Cameroon. He was telling us what it takes to be a Peace Corps director in Cameroon. What are your relationship with him?
I've met Mark a couple of times, and honestly, he seems like a great guy. I think that we're very lucky in Peace Corps Cameroon, you know, to have someone with his experience and qualifications. He was a Peace Corps volunteer himself at one point. I think he dug fish ponds, you know, for local harvesting. Oh, great project. So, I mean, he understands from firsthand experience what it's like to be in the field. So I think he's a very good intermediary between the volunteers who are out in the field doing the work and, you know, with the powers that be back in Washington, D.C. I think we're lucky to have him.
We've come to the end of today's edition. If you did enjoy it, do join us again Saturday, same time. Until then, have a good weekend.